Hi, aloha no kako. Nice to see you folks popping up on my screen here. Aloha. Ai, Kavehi, look at you.
Aloha, Kapi.
Okay, let me get a glance. We're still letting people in. I want to thank you folks for spending an hour with us, and hopefully this hour will make you hear things, see things, maybe an echo of what you already feel and do, or maybe even something quite new, a whole new consideration. But thank you for joining us. And more people are coming in, coming in. You know, I ought to be wearing my glasses, but it's just the non-sexy thing. So I'm just
Oh,
acting like I can see
yeah.
really well. Hi, Samulin. How are you?
Okay.
Okie dokie. Alrighty. Okay. Now, I'm at home. So the great thing about being at home is, well, you get to hear the ambiance of my creative world. So there's the dog barking, the cat and the dog beefing, the Java finches who just want to eradicate me from my home. My mo'opuna may be running by, and they always demand my attention, and I always give them my attention. And what else? And then, yeah, sometimes my wife begins chanting from, from I don't know where. So, it's a living space. But thank you for sharing your space with us. My name is Taupori Tangaro. I see. Hi, Amy Stillman. Oh, I'm seeing a whole bunch of you folks that. Thanks to Zoom, I get to see the people that sometimes I never ever see. So, and some of you have been joining us, like Derek Snyder, you've been joining us for a number of sessions already. So nice to see some of you. This is the Mōkaulele. And when you have time, just do a Google search on the Mōkaulele. It's the hook of Maui. Maui, our big demigod. And he used this hook to do wonderful things, or at least attempt to do wonderful things. And so this program is called Mōkaulele. And the attempt of it is to hook new considerations and bring them forward. From the ocean, from the sky, from the horizon. And so that we have an opportunity to grow who we are, how we think, how we act, and how we plan our lives, doing so from an indigenous base. This program is designed to contribute to the growth of indigenous leadership. And when we speak of indigenous leadership, it's really a specific kind of leadership that is not just about the now. The indigenous leadership requires that we consider the ancestors. It's required that we consider the mo'opuna, the generations yet to come. So the decisions we make, how we lead, has to always contribute to the well-being of the community before and after us. So it's not just looking at a small time frame and doing our best to lead within that time frame. We're accountable. We use art to help fuel that consideration because art is worldwide, first of all. Every people, no matter their color, whether they identify with indigenous or not, we have art. Art speaks to a part of our consciousness that words cannot. And sometimes art, it does use words, but sometimes it has no words. Words have a way of confusing sometimes our communication. So we use art. Art is valued by people worldwide. And so we welcome your indigenous space. Those of you that don't identify as indigenous, well, we invite you to begin identifying as that. So, we all have some indigenous ancestor. So go and hook on one of those and begin the growing there. Let's begin what makes us common. And so I want to introduce Auliʻi Mitchell. And before I do, this is a simple format. He's going to share with us a specific focus of his world of art. And he's going to share with us whatever he wants to share with us. And then if you have questions, you can add those questions in the text. We'll try our best to get to all of your questions. But if not, leave your email if you have serious inquiries, and we'll make sure that all the texts or the chat go to Auliʻi so he can, you guys can begin a discussion. Tiffany, I can hear you clearing your throat, so you might want to mute. Tiffany, Tiffany is our text, so we got to mahalo Tiffany. Now we're really homesteaders, so we try to speak even good English, but it only lasts for a few minutes. So so we're it. May I introduce, ladies and gentlemen, a very very dear friend, Auliʻi Mitchell, and I first met him in the early '90s, and the first time I met him was at Crony's Bar. I don't know what we were doing there. I think Kekui was having a CD release, and he came. I've never seen him, and Hilo. We know everybody. So I've never seen this person, and he got up and he chanted an honor chant to Kekuhi, and we were connected since then. So I'm happy to bring Auliʻi, Charles Auliʻi Mitchell, and he's going to share with us specifically Hula Kiʻi. And let's take it away, Auliʻi.
Ai,
O'oia.
mahalo. Aloha auina na ia tātou whakahi a tau. Ko wau no o Auliʻi Mitchell. Mahalo e Kaupori Tangaro for having me here today for your series. And Gail Makuakane and her team. For as long as I have known you, you are an amazing advocate for Hawaiian leadership programs through the University of Hawaii Hilo. So mahalo no, mahalo no, mahalo no. Mahalo to all my kumu, past, present, and future, who has graciously passed on their ike to me so I could be here today to share my love, my relationship with the Hula Kiʻi and its relationship to Indigenous leadership. I'd like to talk a little bit about myself first. I'm Auliʻi Mitchell. I'm kumu hula of Halau o Kahiva Hiva. My family stems from Hilo on my Tutu man side and from Kula Maui on my Tutu side. My family is in Kaniahiku, at home in Puna. My hula line is from my grandfather, Kahiva Hiva Cash, and his daughter, my mother, Harriet Anna Mitchell. A father and daughter team in the 1930s to the 1950s in Paua Valley on the island of Oahu. Both Tutu Man and Mama were students of Joseph Ilalaole, Samuel Puaha Aheo, and Kavena Pukui. I presently reside in Kailua, the Oahu Ni, at a place they call Enchanted Lake, but we know it as Kaele Pulu, the home of Olomanama. I continue to teach my family's legacy at the Janet and Harriet Weinberg Ho'okupu Center in Kevalo in Honolulu. I learned my mama was quite a child prodigy in her youth, as one of Oahu's youngest chanters. Later, I would find myself experiencing that same journey, but in California, learning from a young child all of the rituals and ceremonies associated with the hula kapu. I was born in Kalia on Oahu and Luhiba Maituki Wahine, who later brought me to California to join the family when I was a little boy. My father was in the military and took my mother and my 5 siblings to Oceanside, California in the early 1960s. By the time I joined the family, Mama had the halau in full swing with all my siblings as her olapa. Later, Mama would share with me that when the Ohana first came to California, she fell into deep, deep depression. And the only thing that pulled her out was her traditional cultural practices of the Olaka, always called our style of ancient hula under the kapu of Laka. I always thought, what a difficult time it must have been for my mother and her 6 children to travel and then make a new life in a strange land. We managed very, very well and experienced a really great life as Hawaiians who moved to the mainland. I remember it was 1968 when my parents, along with a couple of other Native Hawaiians and military families, formed the first Hawaiian club in San Diego County called the Hui Limahana. This hui was made up of Native Hawaiian families, individuals, and other South Pacific Islanders in the military who began the perpetuation of their culture throughout the state of California. Um, our halal grew with many of the children from these military families and others outside of the military through my years. The hula and its practices kept us grounded while living in a strange land, and soon, through the 1970s and the 1980s, I witnessed a renaissance of Hawaiian culture throughout the state of California, in which my papa, my kumu, and I were very much involved. Um, During my life, we became involved with other Hawaiian clubs throughout California and other kumu in the 60s through the 1980s, such as the Hui o Hawaii o San Diego, Navahini Malama o Kamahi Aina. I remember them because they were all kupunahini, elder kupunas who moved to California, and the women always met in Los Angeles. There was another woman I want to mention, Tunny Marsh of Hollywood. She did all of the early Hula film movie with Bing Crosby and all of those things. Another one was Ahahui Olili Okalani of Los Angeles, just to name a few of them. In the 1980s, in 1980, my parents and I formed a small group north of us in a place called Orange County, California. We drove or took the train every week to stay at the home of Auntie Marianne Kauluvehi Onale Onakupuna Kalama was her name, to meet and discuss and form the bylaws for one of California's earliest Hawaiian civic clubs. And in 1982, Aina Hau o California Hawaiian Civic Club received their charter. Kumu, under my kumu, together we taught the Olapa and its many practices to the members of Aina Hau. If I remember correctly, it was around 1985 when the members of Aina Hau asked me to produce and direct their annual Aha Aina Scholarship Luau. It was then challenged by my kumu to research the true story of the Hula Kiʻi or Hawaiian puppetry. This was the first time I heard of the Hula Kiʻi. I was 25 when I was. As a young child, I often played by myself. I had my own kind of invisible friends and stuff. But also I had puppets from other countries that became my playmates. So to learn that our people had puppets, I was really, really excited by this challenge. So she shared also that Anne was given the mele for the hula kiʻi from Auntie Kavena Pukui. Tutu Man and Mama never made the kiʻi, therefore the hula kiʻi slept a couple generations and then would awaken with me with my future research and perpetuation of this old dance form. That summer, my research led me and Kumu to the Bishop Museum. Kumu's contact back home was always her beloved childhood hula sister, Auntie Namaka Bacon. Auntie Namaka met us at the museum and introduced me to a book called The Hula Kiʻi by Catherine Luamala, and to view the 3 puppets of Pa'akaula. So let's start there. Hikino? Okay. E ola e na kiʻi na hula kiʻi, e ola e ala e na kiʻi na hula kiʻi, e ala e hanu e na kiʻi na hula kiʻi, e hanu e na we na kiʻi na hula kiʻi, e na we e hula e na kiʻi na hula kiʻi, e hula e o laka e na kiʻi na hula kiʻi, e ola e ola e ola e he ola. You know, my research found that Pa'akaula was an employee of the Damien Estates at Moanalua on the Alena Oahu. He learned the hula kiʻi in Waianae, where it originated. He learned it from Nahainaka and brought it to Moanalua. It was said that he had so much mana that the kiʻi would hula by the sound of his leo. I learned that they were sold to the Bishop Museum in 1914 and are still in really, really great shape. So, as you can see, I want to share with you this picture here. Pa'akaula's puppets are obviously in Ohana. I have the names backwards here. I didn't have time to change it. Actually, the largest of them is the female, Kabehio Kanahele, the Wahine. She's the largest one. And the second to the largest is Mōkaulele, her husband, the Kani. And then their nursling is the Ilani. Right. So, the next pictures that I'm going to share with you folks is were taken in 2019 at the Bishop Museum, visiting Pa'akaula's puppets as members of the Hula Kiʻi Collaborative, formed in 2018 by me, a collaborative working with other Hula Kiʻi traditions of Na Kumu Hula and Nona Beamer and Kumu Kiʻolale. We are grateful for the loving care of the museum and allowing us to visit them. I want to point out in this picture that it's interesting when we walked in, and they're not all of us here, we're missing a few. Kumu Pono Alejo also is a part of this group as well. The pictures behind us are of our Auliʻi, Kaiʻiolani in the large picture. But I love that they laid it out this way because, oh no, it's just a truck going by. Sorry. You hear noise, it's the cleaning truck on the road. All right, so anyways, the puppets are laid out here, and it's great because they would have, the Auliʻi on the wall would have seen these kiʻi perform in their time, during the times, all the way down to the times of King David Kalakaua. So I really love that they were laid out this way. It's like they were there with us. And in the picture here, Kumu Lili Noilensi, my carving buddy partner, Nancy Alejo, and my cousin, Miliana Meyer, all carving students of the Hula Kiʻi now. This is a great picture of Kabehio Kanahele, the Wahine. She's quite large, and notice all of these puppets are carved of bilibili, one of Hawaii's softest woods, which is an endangered wood today. But what I like about these early kiʻi, they're carved very simply. And I knew these first before I knew the others that I'll be talking about. So I really studied their carving and how simple they were, and the bilibili wood being so light. So this wahine, she stands maybe about 3 feet at the tallest, and the head is bigger than my head, almost bigger than my head, which is a big head. And I just love the simplicity of the carving of it. And notice behind it 2 pieces of wood. And if you can see, and you'll see a little later, there's a little green felt in the bottom of the picture in the corner. But those are actually for arms. Whether they were originally bilibili wood or not, these are not the original arms. And we'll show you how they've been attached later on, or in a few moments. This is Hi'ilani, the keiki, the nursling. I love looking at Hi'ilani because he looks like a newborn. And pupuka ke keiki, to me, pupuka ke keiki. I see part of his nose is lost, but I love that his eyes are so close together. You know, I don't have babies, but I have been blessed to take care of babies. And this face is so real to me, especially how the eyes are set in, and how when we grow, everything spaces itself apart. And I wanted to pay attention to that because it gives character to the carving of Hi'ilani. And look at Hi'ilani's ears are open, and you'll see that as well on the other ki'i. The arms of Pa'akaula's puppets are so interesting is that right now you see the felt. Originally it was leather. in the original making of the Kiʻi of Mōkaulele. And they're nailed on with felt here, and then the arms are connected underneath so they could swing front, back, on the sides as well. Let's move on to, now this is Mōkaulele. Mōkaulele, you can see, has the original leather arms that hide the attachment of the wooden arms that were used. I don't remember that day he had wooden arms with him or not, but these would be the original leather parts here and put together with nails of that period. So we're still talking 19th century. Yeah. The eyes, they're not the eyes. I want to tell you that it's a special type of medium that the museum uses to protect the eyes from some other bad thing like insects or something, but it's like a clay material. So the eyes of his are much like his wife and his Kiʻi. Yeah. You can see by the hand, by the way I'm holding it, and it's quite large. Yeah, its head is as large as mine. Kawehi Kanahele is a larger head than mine. Yeah. Here. Oops. Here we are. And here I have another picture, a side view of Kawehi o Kanahele. Kawehi o Kanahele has hair, you can see here, and they didn't tell me what it's made out of, but I remember Auntie Namaka saying it was kukui, and you know, I believe her because I use kukui on my hula kiʻi today, and I have some that are now almost 20 years old, and the kukui is just like I put it on yesterday. It's that aila, you know, that embeds itself inside of soft wood, it absorbs it. Yeah. See a little damage on him as well, but in the box lies, on her, in the box lies, you can see a better piece of her arm. I did learn also that the Bishop Museum has made 3 copies of these that would be used in show and tell when they had their outreach programs to the museum. I've never seen them though. It's a good picture of Kiʻilani. It shows his body size or her body size. We don't know if Kiʻilani is Kani or Keikikani or Kaikamahimi. We don't know. But it gives a good size of his body, maybe about 1 foot or to 1.5 foot in length. Yeah. And again, felt arms connected. And then their lole. Yeah. When I saw them early on in the 80s with Auntie Namaka, they had Muslim clothing on. Today they have no clothing on. So the curators at the museum brought out their clothing for us to see, and it's of the 19th century materials. You know, Iehole, foreign materials are introduced, the calico print, cotton, almost look like linens, almost papa-ish, if that's a word. I'll show you a close-up of it as well. Yeah, you can see the seams, all hand-stitched, the original, but still in really good shape and really good color. Okay, yeah. It was material you just had at that time. Okay. All right, now let's go here too. In the book, it also talks about 6 more hula kiʻi carved of wood that's in the curation at the Smithsonian's National History Museum in Washington, D.C. It was not until years later I would be able to visit these hula kiʻi. From the book that I was given by Auntie Namaka, the hula kiʻi, I was led to another book by Nathaniel B. Emerson, a noted person on the hula, called Unwritten Literature of Hawaii. That book contained a version of the mele hula kiʻi that Tutunan received from Auntie Kawena. A bit different in the word, but pretty much the same mele. And Taupori, you did that mele as well, the ke mele, right? This book went into more detail about the 6 puppets' history. It speaks that in the early 19th century, that these 6 Kiʻi were in the possession of the older brother of Kamehameha III, who was then the royal hula master until his death. He gives them to Emerson and says, be ready when the king asks for these things and be ready to fulfill his wishes. I learned that their last performance was at the New York City World Expo in 1902. They were soon after given to the Smithsonian, where they lay in curation drawers today. I make a point to visit these Ki'is numerous times in my life and will continue to in the future. But I always leave feeling very kaumaha, for they've never been displayed and rarely visited. Only by Hula Kiʻi people, but others as well, carvers as well, I'm sure. These pictures that I'm going to share next were taken by the Hula Preservation Society with Nakumu Hula Mailelu and Mauliola Cook, students of Akinona Beamer in the Hula Kiʻi, because they're the most recent pictures. I believe it was this year or last year that they went, and we may hear from them on here later. Mahalo. Based on over 3 decades of research, I've come up with my own theory of the 6 puppets. The first documented account of the Hula Kiʻi was in the year 1820, where on the island of Hawaii, King Auliʻi and Deborah Kapule entertained Russian voyagers with a Hula Kiʻi performance of 6 puppets. Thus, my theory is that those 6 puppets were with Auliʻi when he was taken by Kamehameha II from Kauai, only to become a husband of Queen Regent Ka'ahumanu. And then we're used all the way down to the times of King David Kalakaua that sit in the Smithsonian today. That's just my own theory. Nothing but my na'au about that. I'm gonna put that out there. Yeah. So let's go there. Yeah, here we have Kumu Mailelu and Kumu Mauliola Cook and our sister Susan, I believe is her name. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're all dancing with their own traditional Hula Kiʻi to greet the Hula Kiʻi that's at the Smithsonian. I like this picture because there are 6 of them and they show all 6. Sometimes the books will only show 2 or 3 or 4, but it's really nice to have this. So again, thank you, Hula Preservation Society, for this updating picture. Really appreciate it. Look at their clothing. Looks kapa, like kapa. Closer look here at the 3 different Ki'is. I know and I remember that some of them had kapa, but they were like in between material. And I think, and maybe Mauliola Cook can help me later to talk about, I think this is the one with kapa right here. Yeah, this one right here. And of course, turmeric olena and some other dyes that have lasted through time. Again, I love the simplicity of carving, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here. Here it is. Yeah. This Ki'i right here, it looks like almost right around the neck area, that it looks like it's either cracked or almost like 2 pieces are putting together. I could never figure that out, nor did I ask about it. But it is seen right here, the crack in the neck. But what I love about the carving is, now, these Ki'i were used before pa'akaulas, or made before pa'akaulas puppets, in my mind and my research I found. So the carving is very similar if you look really well at it. The simplicity of the nose, the simple carving of the mouth, the unconnected ears just open here, the simple eyes, and the brow. So this one has hair on it, and some have a helmet on it. For me, I believe that perhaps Nahainaka, who taught this, also knew of these Ki'is and also passed on that tradition of carving, simple carving, to then transfer it to the medium of vili wood from what this wood was used, what wood was used before. So I just find it very interesting, the similarities. The next one is here. And then we have here our kumu visiting. This is Mōkaulele. I know Mōkaulele. I know Mōkaulele. I know Mōkaulele because of his undergarments here and the colors of this dark green and almost looks like kappa print. Mōkaulele, the magical fish stick, in the stories of many of our legends of Kiʻi Mele and many. Again, I love his face here and how the dye was applied and the wood was not colored all up. They used the dyes in particular areas to accent the features of the carving of the face. Okay, do I want to go there next? Okay, great. So this is me when I was 25 years old. I had hair. This is in Vista, California. This is in 1985. And these are my first 3 kiʻi that I made. I had no knowledge of carving, nor did I want to carve at that time, but I did have the knowledge of clay work and forming clay and making paper mache and using a saw to cut wood. So my first hula kiʻi were made of paper mache and avocado wood. They're very, very heavy, and they're painted with acrylic paints. Their lole is made of silk. I figured these were the kiʻi in ancient times that performed before our Auliʻi, so why wouldn't they have the best of materials that were brought in? So I made them out of silk. We never have pikaki, as you can see, pikaki around the neck. It's from the hula store. Plastic lepo'o for kawehi o kanahele in the middle. But you know what? When they performed, it was all real. It was all real. But this is their stay-home clothes, and they had many outfits after that. I want to also talk about, I brought them home to Hawaii. And this next photograph is my haumana and I. I work for the Lagman Museum. It's something that Taupori knows about. At that time, I worked for the Elder Hostel program, and in Kailua Kona, we would go monthly and share a story with the Elder Hostel people. So I brought the hula kiʻi to share a story with them. And it was amazing that they didn't even know Hawaii had puppets. And this is the last performance of Kawehi Kanahele because the humidity back home made their face go like this. The paper mache just caved in. So I buried the 3 of them at my home in Kaniahiku in Puna. And then I thought, wow, how much I miss them. I miss them very much. So I went to sleep. And I asked my kupuna, I'm home now. Can you please show me how the way to make kiʻi from wood? And it was through my sleep that I began to look in the forest for a soft wood. And the softest wood I could find was hau. So I began to collect the hau wood. And in my sleep, I would dream. I dream of shadows in rooms, not carving, but shadows. And then I would come out of dream and I would look at these pieces of wood I had driving, and as the sun would hit them in the house or lighting would hit them in different ways, I start to see figures in the wood. And then I would find those areas and I would take them out very roughly because I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just guided by my wairua and my tupuna. So it came to the year already 1990s in Hawaii. I started to teach for a program at the University of Hawaii with Dr. David Singh, Napua No'iau, program for gifted and talented Hawaiian children. And these were middle school children of Hawaii, of Hawaiian ancestry. And 3-week programs, long programs, but amazing fun. You had students from Pahua School and students from Kamehameha School. So you can know how that could be. Anyways, they did wonderful jobs, and these are 5 of the many puppets, the hula kiʻi that were carved during those years at Napua no Iao. I still have these 5, and I still know each student that carved and made these kiʻi. When we were through, I asked the students to let me hold them always. And when they're 18 years old, they can call me up and they could have their babies back because I would know that they were interested in caring for them and nurturing for them in the right way. Out of, I think that year was 12, 5 never called me. So I have them in my possession today and travel with them and dress them and love them as my mo'opuna. Oops. 2005 rolls along and I'm on the island of Oahu. And I meet Tony Conjugation, who becomes a really beloved friend of mine. He needs to have some fundraisers, and we're talking about fundraisers. And I say, hey, let's put this out there to people in the hula community, and let's put out that we're going to hold a class on hula kiʻi. And whoever would like to come, we'll just donate all of that to your fundraiser. Well, only 2 people took the call. And there were 2 ladies, 2 kupuna in their 70s, well, 60s and 70s, Nancy Alejo and Lorna Springer of Nancy of Eva Beach and Lorna of Makiki Heights. Or we call Round Top in the old days. Anyways, yes, so these are the 2 kiʻi that were carved by the 2 ladies on the beach at Kahana Bay. What was supposed to be a week of carving turned into months of carving and travel. We went from site to site, brought our kiʻi with us, carved little by little, talked story, talked to them, and this was the end result, back on the beach at Kahana Bay. Okay, familiar to Taupori, Tangaro, is a beauty. This is the year of our last halau aola, or will it be the last? Anyways, this is my my halau in Kaniahiku. I call it Kihapaialaka, where I teach my hula for many, many years. I was allowed to or asked to teach the hula kiʻi at halau aola, and we had about 12 different hula students and kumu hula who came to Kaniahiku and participated in the hula kiʻi. And this is just about 2 or 3 weeks after the eruption. So we were there carving amidst the action of Pele. And you could just hear her and feel her. And that just made it even more special. And then here's a group shot of everybody here. Ifekubuhula and Ivalani from Washington, the state of Washington. Yes. California kumu over here, West Coast, East Coast kumus. They're just beautiful. Beautiful work. Their lole is of muslin, hand printed with ohe kapala. Another little, this was during the ho'omaha time. Yeah, it was making ho'omaha. So everybody put their kiʻi for rest over here while we did our stuff, our eating and other things for rest time. The 2 kiʻi in back I want to mention as well. They're my largest pieces. I fell in love with when Auntie Pua put out the mo'oku au hau of Haumea and Moimoi a Auliʻi. Earthbound parents of 14 siblings of Pele Honua Myanmar, and all of them having elemental forms for the creation of our universe. So that was the focus of this group of Halau Aola, was to make the siblings of Haumea and Moimoi a Auliʻi. And you can tell in many of them, they all contain some kind of feature on the body of their elemental form. Oh, Kumu Kapuna Aimolito and his Ohana and Jenny, his wife. I forget the son's name, but he sure is tall. Yeah. Um, I put this picture up because I was invited through the Hula Preservation Society to come with them to Maui to Kumu Kapono'ai, his halau, to teach my lineage of Hula Kiʻi along with his lineage of Hula Kiʻi, and also Antinono Binu's lineage of Hula Kiʻi. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. A place called, it's in Waiʻehu, um, Kalani Honua, if I'm not correct. It's a time for us to share. That's what I'm trying to bring forth here and bring the awareness of. We're sharing our things now. We're not just keeping them. This is the important part for Indigenous leadership. We have to make aware. We have to put out so people can be hooked, as Kumuta 48 verse said. Yeah, and so it's so beautiful to be sharing with others who have the love for Hawaiian puppetry. This is the gang. This is his special cohort of chosen haumana to learn the carving of the hula ki'i. And I tell you, they're all artists amongst themselves, whether it be with mele, maybe with ahana lima no iau, or some type of creative. They all had that within them. The hula ki'i brought it out. Also, the beautiful thing about what Kumu Kapono'ai had done before we came here, he was Mōkaulele, and I really want that to be the awareness and the future of, if I'm invited, if I have the opportunity to be brought into another halau. He held a mele contest amongst this group here and challenged them to compose, to haku, a mele ma'i, especially for the hula ki'i. And that's exactly what they did. Hu Kahau Akia was written by this young lady in the front in the orange ki'e there. Ka'ai, oh, excuse me. Oh, Kalamai. Kalani is her husband next to her, Kalani Robinson, and Kekai Robinson. She wrote the melody that everyone learned for this hula ki'i. And I recently found out that this hula ki'i was taken to help reawaken the restoration of Kapo'oheau in the area of Waihe'u. Oh, this is a interesting. Did I miss it? I might be out of it, but anyways, why do I have this here? Okay, anyway. So the Hula Preservation Society, Kapono'ai Molitau and his halau, and my halau were brought together for the 200th year celebration of Kamehameha statue in Kohala, where Kumu Kiʻolelele, I understand, did the hula ki'i for Kamehameha statue when it was being restored, I believe. Anyways, we were brought there to collaborate and to connect and make history with the largest gathering of hula ki'i traditions Hawaii has seen yet. These are students of Auntie Kau'i, Auntie Kiawe Hope, Kumu Taupori, Tangaro, and myself. Then we had, of course, the two old ones here as our kuahu for our hula ki'i carving, and this is the time of ho'omaha, so we thought it would be a nice time to capture everybody. The beauty of working with others who love Hawaiian things is you don't have to explain much. You teach and you work and you do. And then story is easy to share. I put this up because these are my beloveds. I just love them. Kumu Kapono'ai Molitau, Kumu Mailelu, and Mauli'ola Cook. I see their kumus inside them when I see them and work with them. I see them come through them, especially when it's in the time of the actual dance of the Hula Kiʻi. This is when we were together here in Maui. And then this is a picture, a wonderful picture of Kumu Maoli cook that I love with her Hula Kiʻi of Nancy Nona Beamer's tradition. Kamehameha, my connection to him is through my great uncle, John Tamatoa Baker, who stood as the model for this statue that is now in Kohala. It's always a long time been in Kohala, I should say. This big guy is me. We're beginning to lead the procession into the festivities for the Kamehameha Day celebration. I just put this ki'i here. I put this picture up because there's a little ki'i in my hand. We were at the Waikoloa shopping center and we drove by this gift shop. I said, I gotta go in, stop the car, just leave it running, I gotta go in. I went in and the first thing I saw was him. I said, how much? He said, $5. I said, okay, I buy him. Because he looked Marquesan, his son Polynesian carved him. So anyways, I brought him with us and he helped. He brought his mana along with me here. This is the group. I believe there were maybe 50 of us. Yeah, with all traditions of the Hula Kiʻi. I love this picture. So the latest thing that I have done is with a young man by the name of Nalamaku Asing. He is a recent graduate of Williams College on the East Coast, Native Hawaiian, Czechoslovakian. He and I were introduced to my cousin Miley Meyer at Namia, Hawaii, and they thought that it would be just really nice for the two of us to get together for an exhibition on his work with linoleum prints and the Hula Kiʻi. It was Nalamaku who gave the name the Nohokili Kuahe Nohokili Alo. Sitting in the back, sitting in the front. You sit in the front, sit in the back. Well, it was a wonderful exhibition because I became the pua. I just came to support our alo, be the backbone for our new generation. This is indigenous leadership, where you can come with traditions of old. All the Hula Kiʻi have kapa made by my hand with Hawaiian prints of Ohekapala. To stand in the middle and then reflect outside to the alo, to the front, stand in the back and reflect to the front. You're surrounded by his work. So him being the alo, he was able to take what was innate inside of him to a holy college on the mainland and be able to transmit that innate traditions of pattern and art in him to modern medium using watercolors and different mediums of paint to modern mediums, watercolor papers. And this was our opening. Gives you a little bit more looking around. You can see that actually this ki'i has the same pattern as the patterns are on the ipupavehe. And I'm beginning to do the dance of the Hula Kiʻi here. This piece, this Hula Kiʻi, was inspired by the Mōkaulele of Auliʻi, which is on Maui with Wahine Oma'o and Pa'uopala'a, and they're looking from the distance from up high and hearing the voice of a woman chanting. Coming to later to find out that she was named Wahine Mu'umu'u, I call her. There's a Hula Mu'umu'u as well. I was inspired by that story because she had no arms, she had stumped her legs, and she was still able to have that connection with these women. These women used so much power, Hi'iaka, at that time to come that it gave them great strength to know. No nawe kahala, no puna kawahine, no kalua ikilawe. Her clothing is made of kapa. died with Alaya, Kukui, and of course, Polem. This hula ki'i is known as Ka'uapuakea of the White Rain, as inspired by him by the writings of Antikivena Pukui. He writes about the kekea. Not only is that word kekea of the male sperm, but it also means albino. And in my life, I grew up in California with two albino friends as a child. Never forget them. They had pink eyes. And they were my friends because nobody else better than them. So I grew up with them. And then in my older years, I saw others. And when I came to Hawaii in Hilo, I saw a Tongan woman, Kekia. And then when I went to do my studies in Aotearoa, I saw two Maori, Kekia. When I went to Samoa, I saw another Kekia. So coming home and reading Kavena's writings on the Kekia, I just got inspired. And in there, she felt how high they were, high status they were, but they were like the kola. They were able to wanana, to prophesy and to think. And so that's his whole job. His clothes is made of papa, the dye is beetroot, his pa'u underneath is all olena and kukui and alaya, and the vana in the front is tan tinted pani. This is Lono Ikanani. He is Lono of the riddle. And I was inspired from him because Tony Conjugation and his partner Kainoa have a son. His name is Leikin. He turned 5 years old, I think, in 2019, 2018, forget, not too long ago. But they asked me if I would come into a hula ki'i for him at his birthday luau and carve a new ki'i for him. And that's how Lono Ikanani came to be. His clothes is made of kapa, of course, or hikapala. And it's beautiful to see this and then the what is in, it's reversible. Alo kua, kua alo, same thing, yeah. So this is what I'm doing now. I am working with the Hula Ki'i Collaborative, working with my halau and another halau on the perpetuation of the carving of the hula ki'i. By doing this, I'm creating an awareness in the Native Hawaiian community to whence they came from. I believe it was the intelligence of our Pumuhula in ancient times that said no to the missionaries when everything was stopped, when the old system was stopped, and the temples were taken down. Who knows what happened to all of our ki'i, made us so frightened with this new word that we couldn't even look upon a wooden image anymore. Later, we find them in the museums of the Peabody Essex, you name it, around the world. But for me, I believe it was our Pumuhula who said, okay, if you're not gonna let them let us have it this way, we're gonna make it this way. So let's carve ki'i and let's make stories through them so they could be seen again, they could be held again, so they can be worn again. I mean, worn again in the na'au, tied to us forever so we don't forget where we came from, who we are in this new change of things, and even in today where we are. So these are different stages. I have the puppets at. I have a piece, the one in the middle looks like a guy staying on his head. It's just that's a work piece. It's just a practice piece, yeah? And then I'll take it off to another part of it, and then I'll start to create the character of the story that I'm doing.
Auliʻi.
Yes.
Auliʻi, so if I could draw some connections to your process to leadership. And so, obviously the focus of the Mōkaulele series is not necessarily to answer questions, but really to begin to host questions, give an opportunity to ask why this, why did we have it, why was it, why did we have some hula that we never lost and then some hula that seemed to kind of have disappeared, or as Auliʻi say, go to sleep, and why is it coming back now? what is the role of hula ki'i now? What was the role of hula ki'i during the time of the ali'i, during the time of Kaumoali'i, during the time of the Kalakau and the Kamehamehas? And why is it so that Hawaii is known so well for its carving, its intricate carvings, but the hula ki'i is portrayed in a whole different medium of expression?
Mhm.
You know, questions are, we like answers. We're kind of we're kind of conditioned to look for answers, but questions is what really is going to take us further. And I think what we can immediately, I was able to draw on was that through Mary Pukui, and the connection that Auliʻi's family had with Pukui and with Mrs. Bacon, that, they were given a trigger through the song, through a chant. Interestingly, a trigger can only work if there's something that already exists. And so they were given a trigger and said, and the opportunity came to grow it, to build it, to bring it back. So, we're very well schooled in why things are taken away, but we need to get just as well schooled in why things need to come back. And so this is 2020. What does hula ki'i have to do with our health as an indigenous people? How can hula ki'i help us achieve environmental well-being? Because that's part of indigenous leadership. We cannot lead in absence of the environment. In fact, the environment determines how we lead. And so, what is the role of hula ki'i? Interestingly, a lot of the chants that are collected, that are associated with the hula ki'i, they're a little bit ribald, some of them. And if you know Hawaiian language, they spoke in just kind of burlesque tones. They chanted all these things that was quite unique. It was really the language of the Kiʻi. So the Kiʻi also had a particular language. What is that language? Why were they allowed to even ridicule the politicians, which were the Auliʻi of that time? So Kiʻis appear to have a basic access into another sphere of communication. And I think what Auliʻi poignantly speaks to is that, he was given a trigger with limited resources. He grew one ki'i, clay and paper mache, and then the moisture just made it sink. But then he went into his dream state. And see, this is where leadership has a grounds for development, is within that dreamscape. And oftentimes we're so schooled to wait for the leader to come from outside of Hawaii. But what if we're to say the leader is in you and all you need to do is have a good dream?
Right. One thing before we leave, I'm sorry I took so much time with no questions, but the hula ki'i, yes, why? The why is because it came from our tuakana, from our kaikua'ana. It came from the other islands from where we came in migration. It also made it safe to express and to tell message in a time under the kapu of the Auliʻi. They had great respect for the Ki'i, thus to tell message, to tell stories, to tell, as you say, the angst of society, and to make fun of things that one could not have at that time. So this brings us to the importance of today, that we still have these things in society. We still have these difficulties we need to address, and issues in our lahui. So why not use them through the hula to tell those stories? Mahalo for your time. I'm sorry it took so much time.
No, that's, it's rare that people can actually hear the story. Hula people we're known for our performance, but rarely does the community have an insight into what's going beyond backstage, how we're trained, how we're conditioned, how our dreams manifest in what we do. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this presentation was not intended to answer your questions, but more than to trigger an opportunity for you to look further, to look into what Hula Kiʻi is. And also because Hawaii is not isolated, we're part of a larger ocean. Sometimes to learn about the things we do, we can by learning what other people do around us, it sometimes gives us some of the answers that we don't have. And so widen our search. We're not the only people in the world with I don't want to use the word puppetry because it comes with all these other kinds of meaning, but hula kiʻi. But to make the images, to make static images dance,
Yeah.
there's a ritual in that.
Yeah.
There's a huge ritual in that. And so we encourage you to celebrate that our ancestors left enough information. Like I say, sometimes all you need is the tail. We have a saying. All you need is the pevo kamanini, and you can rebuild the whole fish. So sometimes all you need is one little artifact, one little clue, and it's going to wake up that knowledge that's already sleeping in you. Our knowledge cannot die. They can go to sleep. Our job is to put us in a place or in a situation that is conducive to waking up that knowledge. But also, as growing Indigenous leaders, and some of you are senior, well-proven leaders, what we wake up is what we have to sustain. So, it's not just about coming to it and just waking up every ancestor in the world, because then we have to feed them. We have to take care of them. We don't invite ancestors to the luau and then nobody's taking them the food. So in our traditional Hawaiian way, we say, yes, let's inquire into our ancestors. Let's inquire into our dreams. But let us too have a reason for the inquiry.
Yeah.
And, our old saying says sometimes better not to ask.
Yeah.
You better know why you're asking. That sentiment, that philosophy is still in a lot of our families today. If you're going to ask, be ready to do something with it. So I encourage you to look up hula kiʻi, whether, if you want to practice it, if you want to learn it, or
Right,
just look at the brilliance. Yeah, just look at the brilliance
Right.
of what's left us. And then, Auliʻi, we can, Tiffany, can you put Auliʻi's email? Auliʻi,
Yes,
how you like to contact you? Your
That
email.
email is good. Email, yeah, it's good. Yeah,
So
email.
Auliʻi, Tiffany, can you hold komoka email I loko o ke la? So they're going to introduce, if you want to have this discussion further with Auliʻi, and then also he comes with hula kiʻi friends.
Yeah.
So, and the great thing is they agree on hula kiʻi, but how they present and the philosophies that drive them might be similar and might be quite different. So, we love, that's one of the things, when you have 40,000 gods, we don't like one way of thinking. We like plenty ways of thinking. We like plenty ways of doing it. It leaves us opportunity to honor many truths, not just one truth. So we invite you to that. Next month is our last presentation, and it's going to be Bojack Keys. He's a young Hamakua Kanaka, and he's going to be sharing some of his art through photography and some of the carvings that he's doing. And again, we're not talking craft. When we're talking about these, and we don't even have a word for art. We made up one in Hawaiian. We call it pahiona, but it's not. We don't even have that word. These are ritual pieces, and they have a purpose behind them, and so we're looking at different kinds of presentations and how the Kanaka will listen to their dreams and begin to innovate from an informed foundation. And even those moments when our body's just taking us into a direction and we don't really have we haven't seen an artifact, we haven't got the trigger, but sometimes we're just starting and we're going, something's pushing us to develop it. Interestingly, sometimes the proof comes after the fact. So sometimes you got to create, and then the evidence, the support comes after. It's a risky business here because in Hawaii, you're going to make any kind because people know your family. That's a good thing. They know your family. They know your family for generations. So innovation is a little sticky. It's not about just us. It's always about our ancestors. It's always about our kids. So what we do today, what we innovate today, we have to answer to. But let's keep this conversation going. And and we want to mahalo Auliʻi and all of those triggers along the way.
Ai, pololoi. Ai, nui ka
We
mahalo
want,
ia loi, no kuho o kona ana mai ina.
yeah.
Mahalo no, mahalo no. Ai,
I like that because I think you can relate that when we're born, we don't grow up, we're not tagged as leaders. In fact, there's a lot of people that are just quite introverts in the world of the artisan. A lot of introverted people, they speak through their work. And so when Auliʻi tells, when he was young, he used to like to play with dressing up. He had his little world and he's dressing up. And then look, now
it's
the
real.
dressing up has, so mahalo his mama for not stopping him from doing
That's right.
things. But
Yeah.
sometimes our parents will stop us. And so, encourage those things. I celebrate, the knowledge we have. We've lost nothing. We have everything we need to take us into the next 200 years. So, that song, we no more nothing, they never leave us nothing. No need kill the song, but just put them in the bottom of your songbook because we don't need to sing that. There's other songs we can sing and chant. We have a lot. And it's all in our marrow. We just got to be in the right company at the right time and let that marrow dance, like we make the Kiʻi dance. Auliʻi, mahalo to you and your ancient people and all the people you affect and all the wood Kiʻis you give birth. Oh, your Kiʻi womb must be all jiggly already. You're giving birth to all of those
You don't know the
Kiʻis.
half of it.
I see you folks December the 10th. And again, this is a nice hamakua. First time I've been working with him, a little bit kuaina, but I'm excited. His work is just incredible. See you folks. Have good dreams. It begins there. It begins in the pool. Ahui ho no.
Love you all. Aloha.
Aye. Oh, I could see all you folks going by. Okay, Amy Stillman, ahui ho. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.